Beyond Barriers, Black Entrepreneurship as Cultural Legacy. Good morning, everyone. I am truly honored to stand before you today to share some profound insights from my recent conversation with Shawn L. Brown, a visionary whose work is transforming how we understand Black entrepreneurship in America. Shawn isn't just another business consultant or motivational speaker. He's a cultural architect rebuilding the very framework through which we see entrepreneurship in Black communities. His faith driven purpose, combined with unapologetic honesty, has created ripples of transformation across industries, challenging systems that were never designed for our success, and illuminating paths forward that many of us have overlooked. When I first encountered Shawn's work, I expected the familiar narratives about perseverance and breaking barriers. What I received instead was nothing short of revolutionary, a complete paradigm shift that has forever changed how I view business, legacy, and cultural preservation. We often celebrate Black entrepreneurship primarily as an act of overcoming, breaking barriers, shattering glass ceilings, proving naysayers wrong. And while those achievements deserve recognition, Shawn L. Brown offers us something more profound to consider. What if Black entrepreneurship isn't just about breaking into spaces not built for us? What if it's actually about something far more powerful, creating living heritage and establishing new geographies of genius? This perspective shifts everything. It transforms the entrepreneurial journey from merely personal achievement into an act of cultural preservation and love. It redefines success beyond profit margins to encompass community impact and generational transformation. Let that sink in for a moment. When we build businesses as Black entrepreneurs, we aren't just building wealth, we're preserving Black creative genius for future generations. We're creating landmarks on a cultural map that might otherwise be erased. We're not just opening doors, we're building entirely new structures with our own blueprints. This insight from Shawn L. Brown completely reorients how we might approach our work, our purpose, our definition of success. It challenges us to think beyond quarterly profits and Instagram metrics to consider how our businesses might serve as cultural time capsules, preserving knowledge, traditions, and innovations that could otherwise be lost. Consider the story of Deshawn, who leads a thriving Black owned business that's been operating for over 50 years. His journey exemplifies exactly what Shawn L. Brown is talking about. Deshawn faced the dual challenges of racial bias and ageism in his industry. The conventional narrative would focus solely on how he overcame these barriers. But there's something deeper happening in Deshawn's work. He began with modest resources, but strong community roots. As he scaled his business through digital engagement, leveraging platforms like TikTok to connect directly with customers, he remained grounded in local networks. He didn't just build a recognizable brand online, he established himself as both entrepreneur and coach, normalizing late in life entrepreneurship among Black professionals while expanding opportunities within his industry. Deshawn's business isn't just a business, it's a site of intergenerational knowledge sharing. It's a living archive of Black innovation and resilience. It's a geography of genius where wisdom is passed down, where younger entrepreneurs can see themselves reflected in leadership, where community values remain at the center despite market pressures to prioritize profit above all else. This reframing matters deeply because when we see our entrepreneurial efforts as acts of cultural preservation, we approach setbacks differently. We measure success differently. We make decisions differently. We understand that our struggles aren't just personal challenges, but part of a larger historical context. And our triumphs aren't just individual wins, but contributions to a collective legacy. Shawn L. Brown emphasized three key insights that I believe can transform how we approach Black entrepreneurship. First, your entrepreneurial story is part of a broader legacy. By building your business, you're also preserving Black creative genius for future generations. This perspective elevates the significance of your daily work beyond the immediate challenges and victories. When you keep meticulous records, when you document your processes, when you train the next generation, you're not just being a good business person, you're being a cultural steward. Second, community impact matters. True success isn't measured only by profit, but by how your work uplifts others around you. This doesn't mean sacrificing financial stability, quite the opposite. It means recognizing that sustainable business models that benefit communities create deeper, more resilient success. It means understanding that wealth concentrated in the hands of a few never created lasting prosperity for Black communities. But wealth that circulates and regenerates can transform entire neighborhoods for generations. And third, embracing setbacks can be the catalyst for authentic growth, innovation, and deeper purpose in your professional journey. When we face imposter syndrome or failure, these moments can actually redirect us toward our most meaningful contributions. Our greatest innovations often emerge from our deepest struggles. When we're forced to reimagine what's possible with limited resources or in hostile environments. Let me share another powerful example that illustrates these principles. Shawn Swiner serves as CTO at Athene USA and leads initiatives supporting diversity through events like the annual Athene Black and Brown Business Summit. His work demonstrates how leadership roles can be leveraged not just personally, but systemically to create environments where creative legacies thrive. Swanner addressed systemic gaps in leadership representation within tech and finance sectors by creating platforms that spotlight minority innovators and facilitate networking between established leaders and emerging entrepreneurs. The outcomes have been remarkable. Expanded access to capital and resources for minority businesses, increased visibility of diverse talent pipelines within corporate America. What's particularly striking about Swanner's approach is how he rose through technology ranks while simultaneously advocating internally for equity focused programs. His accomplishments include orchestrating high impact summits that draw national attention and mentoring dozens of up and coming professionals from underrepresented backgrounds. This work sets new standards across industries regarding inclusion best practices and has inspired similar summits nationwide. It's a perfect example of how individual leadership can create ripple effects that transform entire sectors, creating spaces where Black genius can flourish, not as an exception, but as an expectation. But perhaps the most compelling story Shawn L. Brown shared with me comes from the Geographies of Black Genius initiative. This project explores efforts that emerged after the 2020 racial justice uprisings, focusing on preserving sites central to historic moments in African American creativity, from art studios to grassroots businesses. These spaces faced historic erasure and displacement amid urban development pressures. The conventional approach might have been to simply document what was lost. Instead, community led coalitions organized funding drives, policy advocacy campaigns, and storytelling projects documenting living heritage. The results have been remarkable. These efforts secured landmark status and funding protections for multiple locations across the United States and catalyzed new waves of interest and support among younger entrepreneurs and artists. Many of the featured organizations grew out of necessity, spaces where formal institutions failed communities, yet became incubators for innovation nonetheless. They preserved dozens of culturally significant sites and businesses previously overlooked by mainstream narratives. Most importantly, this work shifted public understanding, showcasing that economic empowerment goes hand in hand with honoring collective memory and culture building efforts. It demonstrated that preservation isn't just about the past, it's about creating sustainable futures rooted in cultural authenticity. This is precisely what Shawn L. Brown means when he talks about entrepreneurship as cultural preservation. It's not just about individual businesses succeeding against the odds, it's about creating and maintaining spaces where Black genius can flourish across generations. As Shawn often says, drawing from his faith driven perspective, we are not just building businesses, we are building arcs that carry our cultural treasures through floods of indifference and erasure. This perspective challenges us to think differently about what we're building and why. It invites us to see our work as part of a longer story, one that began long before us and will continue long after. It asks us to consider what will remain of your work in 50 years, in 100, what cultural knowledge, what innovative approaches, what community values are embedded in your business model that deserve to be preserved. When we embrace this view, something powerful happens. The daily challenges of entrepreneurship, the funding gaps, the networking hurdles, the market barriers don't disappear, but they take on different meaning. They become not just personal obstacles, but systemic issues that we address not only for ourselves, but for those who will follow. It's not enough to conceptualize Black entrepreneurship as cultural preservation. We must act accordingly. This means making business decisions that prioritize sustainable growth over exploitative profit. It means creating inclusive workplaces that nurture the next generation of talent. It means documenting our processes and sharing our knowledge freely with those coming behind us. As Shawn L. Brown reminded me, in the African tradition, wealth was never about individual accumulation. It was about what you could do for your community, how many people you could feed, how many children you could educate, how many elders you could honor. So I stand before you today with a challenge that goes beyond networking, beyond funding, beyond market share. I challenge you to see your work through the lens of cultural preservation, to ask yourself not just how can I succeed, but what am I preserving through my success? Are you documenting the innovative solutions you've developed to overcome systemic barriers? Are you mentoring the next generation, not just in business tactics, but in cultural values? Are you creating spaces where Black creativity can flourish authentically without code switching or conformity to external expectations? These questions aren't just philosophical, they're practical. They shape how you structure your business, how you measure success, how you allocate resources, how you plan for succession. Because when we reframe Black entrepreneurship as cultural preservation, we transform not just our businesses, but our communities. We create not just profits, but possibilities. We build not just companies, but legacies. So I leave you with this question. What cultural treasure are you preserving through your work? What aspect of Black genius will survive because you dare to build something lasting? How will future generations benefit from the arc you're building today? Your answer to this question isn't just your business plan, it's your contribution to a cultural legacy that stretches back generations and forward into a future we can only imagine. It's your place in the geography of Black genius. Thank you.